Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news mashup video today, starting with Dave Allen's win over Dorian Darch, which is now being investigated. So see here on screen, so Sunsport reports Boxing Probe, Dave Allen's controversial win over Dorian Darch investigated after string of suspicious bets on third round knockout. So that fight was on the undercard of the Kell Brook-Mark DeLuca fight, Allen winning in the third round. And it's the third round which is the subject of scrutiny now. So Sunsport says it understands Sky Bet were the first bookmaker to notice a concerning spike in bets on the 6-round Sky Sports fight, and they alerted their competitors. And at around 5:30 p.m, a couple of hours before the fight, the industry noticed an extraordinary surge of lays on the exchanges of the specific round at a series of high street stores all over the country. So the British Boxing Board of Control Secretary Robert Smith confirmed to Sunsport on Monday afternoon that the Commission had contacted him with their concerns and an investigation is underway. And then it notes that fans were sharing and commenting on a clip of the fight where Darch appears to urge Allen on just before a soft-looking left hook starts his demise. And if you did watch the post-fight review that I did of Dave Allen and Dorian Darch, it certainly was a bit of a strange old fight as I described it. A couple of very soft rounds to start off with. Dave Allen only looking to put about 30% on his punches. Very leisurely start before turning it up in the third round and stopping Darch. And he had been given a rocket by his corner after the end of round 2, saying, look, actually get stuck into this guy. And Dave Allen has responded to news of the investigation, saying, the British Boxing Board and Gambling Commission are very welcome to contact me at their convenience and talk this through, and happy to answer all questions, and I hope they do this as soon as possible and put the matter to bed. And Allen's opponent on the night, Dorian Darch, he has made a comment about the claims of it being fixed, but mind you, this was before the investigation news came out, so this is before that. So he says, fix ? If so, I want a bigger cut ? Twitter beauties X. World Boxing News is reporting that Oleksandr Uysk and Derek Chisora, a potential fight between the pair, has had to be pushed back due to injury to Usyk's elbow. So originally there was talk a fight between that duo was meant to be happening in March, but Eddie Hearn has signalled that it will at least be April, and World Boxing News says it could be pushed back until at least May. So no confirmation out of the Usyk camp or from promoter Eddie Hearn on these claims by World Boxing News of injury. But Usyk has had injury concerns in the past year and a half since moving up to heavyweight. Obviously, that delayed his first fight a couple of times. Dillian White is saying that Alexander Povetkin is a better opponent than Andy Ruiz Jr. So talking to Sky Sports, he says it looks like it's going to be Povetkin. I think he's a better opponent than Andy Ruiz because one thing about Povetkin, he will come in shape and he will be motivated to fight. I just want to get a high-level guy to fight. And in one sense, White is right there that Alexander Povetkin will come in shape because he is a consummate professional. But my view of who is the better opponent, I mean, it really hinges on if Andy Ruiz Jr. does come in shape, because at this point in his career, Alexander Povetkin, 40 years old, he has looked on the slide for a couple of years. He's not as good as he once was, because I think a prime Alexander Povetkin would stop Dillian White. This version, it's a much more competitive fight, but of course, being 40, he's not going to be competitive as he once was. And Andy Ruiz Jr. is the much younger, much fresher fighter. He's just been the unified heavyweight champion. If he came in shape, and that's a big if, I think he probably would be a better fight than Povetkin, but it's a big if on the motivation and obviously shape factor for Andy Ruiz Jr. right now, given he just posted a big egg of 283 pounds for his rematch with Anthony Joshua. He's saying all the right things on social media, but that fight between him and White isn't happening, but that's why he's bigging up Alexander Povetkin now. He wants to put everything behind that fight because he knows that's next, and it's in his interest to do so because it will be a pay-per-view event where he will directly directly benefit with money in his bank account. And he actually did a similar thing with Oscar Rivas in 2019. Ahead of that fight, he described Oscar Rivas as a top 10 fighter, had Rivas in his own top 10, I think at number 8, which I think for most fans at that point was a clear stretch. In my view, Oscar Rivas isn't a top 10 fighter right now. But yeah, White is going to do this because it's in his interest to do so. Deontay Wilder says he will be remembered as an all-time great. He says, when I leave boxing, I will be known as one of the best ever in the heavyweight division, if not in boxing, period. That's my goal. When I retire, people are going to be upset because they're going to want to see more. I try to provide them with a lot of things while I'm here. That's why I say, give me my roses now. Love me now, because I'm the best to ever done this. I'm the hardest hitting puncher in heavyweight history. You're witnessing greatness. We're all great, but greatness is only determined by service. I only have 6 more years left, and when I retire, some people are going to be mad because they won't get the satisfaction. It's going to be a great fight. It's unfinished business. It's one of the biggest fights in the world. We celebrate for 15 minutes, and then we keep moving. Deontay Wilder's statements. And actually, just one thing I wanted to pick up there. He's been saying for the best part of a year now that he's got about 6 more years in boxing, retire at 40, etc. I'm not sure that he will be fighting at an elite level in 6 years' time, or when he's 40, which is really 5 and a bit years from now. I think there's maybe a couple more years left of prime for Deontay Wilder, but after that, as the athleticism fades and he doesn't necessarily have the skill base to fall back on, I think, maybe 40, I don't think he'll fight that long. I think as the losses start to come, and they will if he continues to fight for another, 6 years, I think he'd retire. But we'll see what happens. I think Wilder optimistically thinks he can go to 40. He's got a lot of miles on the clock and a big injury history. But he has been trying to change things in his training setup. He's been doing some lower impact activity in the past year or two. And as he said in recent training camps, investing in himself. So, I mean, some will say, don't bet against him, but 6 years in the heavyweight division, it's a long time to stay at an elite level. 6 more years, not just the time he's already been at a high level. Tyson Fury's uncle, Peter Fury, believes it will be an advantage to his nephew if Deontay Wilder comes in at the same weight as he did in the last fight. He says, I think that it's a big advantage for Tyson. I think Wilder came in underweight for that fight. And just to note, Wilder was 212 pounds on the scale for that fight, but did tell reporters after the fight that he was about 3 or 4 pounds lighter than his weigh-in. So he says, if he could just keep out of trouble early, get him close, rough him up a bit, take him out of his stride, rather than give him the leverage to put the power in, take him into a bit of a dogfight and sap his energy, especially in the second half of the fight. He's got to use his size, he's got to use his weight, especially if Wilder is coming in roughly the same weight he was. You're looking at 2.5 stone advantage there. He needs to use that. And that's where he went wrong in the last fight for me. He was doing the same thing round after round, but after the 6th round, he should have turned his advantages to that. Whether it's ugly or whatever, I think he should just sap the energy out of Wilder. Undefeated Russian heavyweight Apti Davtaev returns on February the 21st in Moscow against the undefeated Ghanaian John Napari. So Napari is currently 21-0 with 15 KOs, although not a well-known name in the heavyweight division. Davtaev currently 19-0 with 1 draw. He's promoted by Dmitry Salita. So Davtaev says, I've continued training at the Kronk Gym for this fight. I look forward to another Detroit-style knockout victory over an undefeated opponent. And his promoter Dmitry Salita says Apti Davtaev is one of the biggest heavyweights and hardest punchers in the division. This will be his 2nd fight in as many months. He will continue to stay busy, and I believe he has all the ingredients to be a force in the division. This is going to be a big statement-making year for Apti. And rounding out this heavyweight news mashup video, Lucas Browne has posted about his upcoming fight with Otto Wallin, his thoughts on facing Wallin, and in particular having his first fight in the United States.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm making my pro debut in Vegas at 40 years old. So I'm ticking something off the bucket list at 40 years old. I've become the first Australian heavyweight to ever win a world title, ever win a world title. are now making my pro debut in Vegas. Like how many Australians, heavyweight division that is, can say that they've gone to Vegas and fought in Vegas? You know, so it's a bucket list thing for me. Whatever happened to people just saying, that's awesome, good luck. You know, get behind an Aussie, for sake. That's one of the problems with the world today. People just have their opinions on bullshit and think their opinion counts. We just get behind someone and say, good luck, mate. If you lose, you lose. Fuck. Who gives a shit? You've gone to Vegas and you fought. Well done. You know, like I get on as many Aussie boxers' pages as I can and say good luck, especially if they're overseas. Go for it. Well done. Get in there and do your best. That's what it's about. You get in there, you fight, you get in there with someone else, you do your thing, you get paid, and you go home happy. That's what it's about. So I'm making my pro debut in Vegas. I'm extremely excited, and it'd be great to see, fellow Aussies just get behind you and say, well done, mate. Win, lose or draw, you made it, you got there, and, well done. But what is wrong with that? I don't understand. So that's my rant for today. I'm fighting March 28 in Vegas against Otto Wallin. It's going to be a hard fight, but it's going to be a great fight. I don't want easy fights. I want a challenge. So it's definitely going to be a challenge, and I'm excited to look forward.